On the morning of my wife's funeral, I received an unsigned note. Don't go to the viewing. Go to your brother's house. Right now. I thought it was a sick joke. But when I arrived at my brother's house and pressed my ear to the door, I heard her voice clear, unmistakable, alive. The woman I was supposed to bury was inside, laughing and planning their escape with him. She wasn't dead. So whose body was in that casket? And why would my own brother help orchestrate this nightmare? I appreciate you listening. Tell me, where are you right now, and what time is it there? Let's build this community together. They say you can feel death in a house. The air gets heavier, like the walls are holding their breath. I'd been holding mine for 3 days. 5:30 on a Sunday morning, and I stood in my kitchen staring at the coffee maker I'd switched on out of habit. The pot gurgled and hissed. My wife used to drink it black, 2 sugars. I took mine straight. Used to joke she sweetened everything in life, even the bitter parts. The joke felt cruel now. Funeral flowers covered every surface. Lilies mostly. Their smell thick and cloying, sticking in my throat. My black suit hung on the bedroom door, pressed, ready. The tie she'd given me last anniversary lay across the dresser. I couldn't look at it without my chest tightening. The viewing was at 10, Heritage Valley Funeral Home, same place we'd buried my father 5 years back. I poured the coffee I wouldn't drink and tried not to count the hours until I had to leave. That's when I heard the mailbox clatter. 5:37 on a Sunday morning. Mail didn't come this early, didn't come on Sundays at all. I walked to the front door, bare feet, cold on the hardwood. Through the window, the October street was empty. Gray dawn, skeletal trees, no movement. I opened the door. A white envelope sat in the mailbox. No stamp, no return address. Just my name, William, in block letters. Black ink, hurried. My hands were steady when I picked it up. That surprised me. I'd been shaking for days, but this felt different. I tore it open. Don't go to your wife's viewing. Go to your brother's house. Now. I read it twice, 3 times. Looked around the empty street like the sender might still be watching. Nothing. A prank. Had to be. Some sick joke from someone who thought grief was fair game. But something stopped me from throwing it away. My brother. 49, 5 years younger, still struggling. Divorced 3 years back, lost his business. I'd helped with rent more times than I could count. We weren't close, but he was family. Why would someone tell me to go there? Why now? Why today? I should have ignored it. Should have gotten dressed and driven to the funeral home like a man who just lost his wife was supposed to do. Instead, I grabbed my keys. His rental was 3.5 miles away. A small place on Beaver Grade Road with a yard he never mowed. I'd been there twice. Once to help him move in. Once to fix a pipe. Both times it felt temporary. The drive took 8 minutes. I didn't turn on the radio. My mind was loud enough. What if something's wrong? What if he knows something I parked 2 houses down? Didn't know why. Instinct. The house looked quiet. Unremarkable. A porch light still on from the night before. Blinds drawn, but I could see a faint glow inside. Someone was home. I walked up the driveway, heart beating harder with each step. My breath fogged in the cold. Somewhere down the block, a dog barked. I stopped at the front door, reached into my pocket, felt the spare key he'd given me months ago when he'd locked himself out. And then I heard it. Laughter. Soft. Warm. Familiar in a way that dropped my stomach. A woman's laughter. I froze. My hand gripping the key so tight it bit into my palm. That laugh. I knew that laugh. No. I pressed my ear to the door. Voices now. Low. Casual. A man, my brother, saying something I couldn't make out. Then her voice again. Clear. Unmistakable. Her voice. The woman I was supposed to bury in 4 hours. My wife, alive, inside my brother's house. My knees buckled. I caught myself against the doorframe, heart pounding so hard I thought it would burst. My hands shook. My breath came in short, shallow gasps. She was dead. The hospital had called. The death certificate was signed. I'd planned her funeral, ordered flowers, written her obituary, but that was her voice, clear as day, coming from inside. I backed away from the door, stumbled down the steps, my legs barely holding me. I made it to my car, got in, locked the doors, sat there in the driver's seat, gripping the steering wheel. 3 blocks from my brother's house. 6 o'clock on a Sunday morning. The street was still empty, the world moving on like nothing had changed. But everything had changed. My wife wasn't dead. She was alive, in there, with my brother, and I realized everything I thought I knew was a lie. I sat in my car for 3 hours. 6 in the morning, the street still dark, a few porch lights flickering on as the neighborhood woke up. I watched my brother's house from 2 houses down, engine off hands, gripping the steering wheel. I should have left, should have driven to the police, called someone, done something rational. But I couldn't move, because if I moved, I'd have to accept what I'd just heard, and I wasn't ready for that. Her voice, her laugh, alive. The sun rose slowly, orange light creeping across rooftops. A man walked his dog past my car. Didn't look twice, just another parked vehicle on a quiet Sunday morning. By 7, lights were on inside the house, shadows moving behind curtains. 2 people, living, breathing, planning. By 8, I'd stopped shaking, the shock replaced by something colder, harder. By 9, I knew what I had to do. I had to go back inside, had to see it with my own eyes, hear it with my own ears. Not just her voice through a door, but the whole truth, every word, every lie. At 9:30, I got out of the car. The spare key was still in my pocket, my hands steady now, purposeful. I walked up the driveway, slowly, quietly, the neighborhood still sleepy. No witnesses. I slid the key into the lock, turned it. The door opened without a sound. I stepped inside. The hallway smelled like coffee, bacon, a normal Sunday breakfast, except nothing about this was normal. I moved toward the kitchen, each step careful, silent, my heart pounding but my breathing controlled, and then I heard them. Her voice first, clear, casual. The voice I'd heard every morning for 25 years. The viewing will take place in 13 minutes. My brother's voice, lower, tired. He must be there already. Good. We'll be clear by noon. I've got the tickets. 2 one-way flights to Charlotte, then connecting to Costa Rica. Cash only, no trail. A pause, the sound of a coffee cup being set down. You sure about this? My brother's voice, uncertain. I've been sure since April. Her voice, steady, confident. We've planned every detail. The death certificate, the will, the insurance. Victor signed everything. Walter processed the paperwork. It's done. Victor? Walter. More names, more people involved. And him? My brother asked. What if he won't? She cut him off. He's too trusting, always has been. 25 years I played the role, the loving wife, the supportive partner. He never questioned a thing. My stomach turned. By tonight, we'll be gone. $500,000 in the account. New names, new life. He'll bury an empty casket and move on. Silence. Then my brother. I still can't believe we pulled it off. Her laugh, soft, satisfied. I told you. People believe what they want to believe, and he wanted to believe I loved him. I'd heard enough. I backed out of the hallway, slowly, silently, my hand shaking as I pulled the door closed behind me. I walked to my car, got in, drove 3 blocks, and parked behind a strip mall. Sat there as the words replayed in my mind. People believe what they want to believe. He wanted to believe I loved him. 25 years, a quarter-century of my life, built on lies, performed like a script she'd been reading the whole time. I don't remember backing out to the house. Don't remember driving away. But suddenly I was 3 blocks away, parked behind a strip mall, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles had gone white. My phone showed 14 missed calls. The viewing had started 5 minutes ago. I was supposed to be there, standing beside my wife's closed casket, accepting sympathy from people who had no idea she was alive and well, and planning her escape with my own brother. I sat there as the truth settled into my bones like concrete. This wasn't grief. This wasn't paranoia. This was betrayal. And someone, whoever sent that note, wanted me to know. My phone wouldn't stop ringing. My son, her mother, Frank, the funeral director, everyone wanted to know where I was. I stared at the screen lighting up on the passenger seat. Each call a demand I couldn't meet. Each ring a question I couldn't answer. Where are you? The viewing started 10 minutes ago. Is everything okay? Nothing was okay. I couldn't pick up. Couldn't explain what I'd seen. How do you tell people the dead woman is alive and sleeping with your brother? The calls went to voicemail. The screen finally went dark. I started driving. No destination, just movement. Beaver Grade to University Boulevard, through Coraopolis. The suburbs rolled past, strip malls, gas stations, Houses where people were living normal Sunday mornings. My hands steadied on the wheel, the shaking replaced by something colder. I couldn't go home, not to the funeral flowers, her things everywhere, the bed we'd shared for 25 years. I needed somewhere neutral. The Doubletree Airport Hotel sat off Parkway West. Generic. Anonymous. Perfect. I checked in just after 11. Cash and ID. Room 214. Second floor. The clerk didn't ask questions. I didn't offer answers. I sat on the bed and stared at beige walls. My phone buzzed. Dad, where are you? Everyone's worried. My son, I typed back, not feeling well. Home. Sorry. A lie. But what else could I say? The viewing was happening now, people filing past an empty casket, offering condolences. Not knowing the body they mourned was 3 miles away drinking coffee. The walls felt too close. I stood, paced, 4 steps to the window, 4 steps back. My fist hit the wall before I knew I'd moved. The crack echoed. Pain shot up my arm. I looked at the dent in the drywall, knuckles bleeding slightly. Good. I needed that. Something to break that wasn't me? I sat back down, flexed my hand. The pain helped. Made sense when nothing else did. Hours passed. Sun moved across the window. By evening, the viewing was over. People had gone home. Her mother crying somewhere, thinking she'd lost a daughter. My son worried about his father, and her probably laughing, planning her escape with my brother. I grabbed the hotel notepad, pulled out the pen, started writing. How long? Why, who else knows? What do I do now? The questions kept coming, threads I needed to pull. And then the one sitting in my mind since morning. Who sent the note someone had warned me? Someone knew she was alive. Someone put that envelope in my mailbox at 5:30 this morning. Someone wanted me to know, but who? I flipped the page, drew a line down the middle. Left side, what I know. Right side, what I need to find out. She's alive. She's with my brother. They staged her death. The funeral is a fraud. I was supposed to bury her today. But how long has this been going on? Who else is involved? Where is the real body, if there ever was one? Why fake her death? Who sent the warning? My handwriting looked unfamiliar at first, shaky, then steadier as I wrote, angrier. 25 years of marriage, a quarter century. I'd trusted her with everything, my business, my home, my son, and she'd been planning this. For how long? Months, years. The thought made my stomach turn. I stood, opened the minibar, vodka. Whiskey, gin. I grabbed the whiskey, cracked it open, drank straight from the bottle. It burned. Good. My phone buzzed again. Dad, please call me. Mom wouldn't want you to be alone right now. My son, 26 years old, still calling her mom, still believing the lie. I almost called him, almost told him everything. But what if he already knew? The thought stopped me cold. No, not my son. He couldn't. But then again, I'd trusted her, trusted my brother, and look where that got me. I set the phone down, screen facing away. Tomorrow, I'd figure it out tomorrow. Tonight, I just needed to survive the silence. I turned off the lights, lay on the bed fully clothed, stared at the ceiling. Somewhere out there, people were mourning a woman who wasn't dead. And I was the only one who knew the truth, the only one and whoever sent that note. I closed my eyes, didn't sleep, just waited for morning. The house felt different when I walked in the next morning, empty, like a museum of lies. I'd left the hotel around 8, needed answers, evidence, proof that what I'd seen was real. The funeral flowers were wilting. Their smell had gone from cloying to rotten. I walked past without stopping. Her office was at the end of the upstairs hall, a converted spare bedroom with a door she always kept closed. My space, she'd say. I need somewhere that's just mine. Now I wondered what else she'd been hiding. I pushed the door open. Desk, file cabinets, bookshelves, everything neat, professional, the space of someone who valued control. I started searching. Top drawers, office supplies, bills, tax documents, work files, nothing unusual. Bottom drawer locked. I went to the garage, came back with a screwdriver. The lock broke with one twist. Inside sat a wooden box, dark mahogany with brass corners, the kind you kept important things in, or secrets. I lifted it out, opened the lid. A black notebook lay inside, hardcover, blank leather. Her handwriting filled the first page. The same handwriting that used to leave me love notes. But these weren't love notes. Phase 1, create distance. April. Phase 2, normalize absences. May, June, Phase 3, K as intermediary. Family won't suspect K. My brother. I turn pages, more details, dates. Instructions written like a business plan. Because that's what this was, a project. Contact names appeared in margins, just initials. Dr. VR, certificate arrangements, attorney WH. Will modifications. My hands started shaking. Then I found the insurance page. Life insurance, 500,000 change beneficiary to K. Crawford. Date July 2024. July. 3 months before her death. This wasn't spontaneous. She'd been planning since April, maybe longer. I flipped through more pages. Notes on timing. Phone numbers without names. Addresses I didn't recognize. One line made my blood run cold. J knows. Handled. Won't talk. J. Someone else knew. Someone she had handled. Silenced. Who was J? Another victim A witness. Someone in the network? I stared at the initials. Dr. VR, attorney WHJ, my brother. This wasn't an affair gone wrong. This was organized, calculated. A conspiracy with multiple players. She hadn't just betrayed me. She'd built a network to do it. I kept reading. October 12th, last phase. Hospital alert. Certificate signed by VR. October 13th, funeral arrangements. WH confirms will change processed. October 15th, viewing 10 a.m., clear by noon. October 15th, yesterday, the day I was supposed to bury her. The day someone sent me that note. I turned more pages. Found a loose paper tucked near the back. A photocopy. Death certificate. Her name. October 12th, 2024. Cause cardiac arrest. Signed by Dr. Victor Ross. Heritage Valley Health System. VR. A real doctor. A real signature. A fake death. How many people were involved in this? I photographed every page with my phone. The notebook. The insurance documents. The death certificate. The initials. Evidence. I needed evidence. Then I found the final entry. Dated October 14th. The day before the viewing. Phase complete. Exit strategy confirmed. K secured funds. Departure October 16th. Tomorrow. They were leaving tomorrow. My chest tightened. I'd stumbled into this by accident. One anonymous note. One morning decision. If I hadn't gone to his house, they'd be gone by now. Vanished with $500,000 and a network of accomplices covering their tracks. I sat at her desk, stared at the notebook. Who were VR and WH real names? Real people helping her fake her death? And who was JJ knows? Handled, won't talk. That line haunted me. Someone had found out, and she'd silenced them. How I stood, tucked the notebook under my arm. This wasn't just about her and my brother anymore. This was bigger, organized, professional, a fraud network. And I'd just found the blueprint. My phone buzzed. A text from my son. Dad, can we talk? I'm worried about you. I stared at the message. My son. 26 years old. Her son, too. Did he know Jay knows? Handled. Won't talk. No, he couldn't. Not my son. But the doubt crept in anyway. I typed back. I'm okay. Need a few days. I'll call soon. Another lie. But I couldn't risk it. Not until I knew who was involved. I left the house, notebook in hand. Phone full of photos. I had names now. Initials. And I was going to find out who every single one of them was. I needed witnesses. People who'd seen them together. People who could confirm what I already knew in my gut. The black notebook gave me a timeline. Now I needed verification. I drove to Kevin's neighborhood that afternoon. Beaver Grade Road. Small houses. Quiet streets. The kind of place where people knew their neighbors. The kind of place where someone might have noticed a woman living with a man for 6 months. The corner store sat at the end of the block. Faded awning. Handwritten signs in the window advertising milk and cigarettes. The woman behind the counter 50's tired, eyes owner's posture looked up when I walked in. Help you. I'm looking for information about my brother. Kevin Crawford. Lives down the street. She nodded slowly. Sure. Kevin. With the girlfriend. Brunette. Pretty. My chest tightened. How long have they been together? She thought about it. 6 months. Seven started seeing her around spring. They come in most mornings. Coffee newspapers. Seem nice. I pulled out my phone. Showed her Rachel's photo. That her. She studied it. Yeah, that's her. You're sure, positive. Sweet couple. Always smiling. I thanked her. Left before she could ask why I wanted to know. 3 houses down, Mrs. Caldwell was watering plants on her porch. 67 gray hair pulled back, the kind of neighbor who knew everyone's business. Mrs. Caldwell, she turned, squinted at me. Yes. I'm William Crawford, Kevin's brother. Her face lit up. Oh, Kevin's brother. How nice. Your brother and his wife are lovely people. Wife. They're not married, I said quietly. She blinked. Oh, I just assumed. They seemed so settled. She gardens. He mows the lawn. Very domestic. How long have you seen them together? Oh, months now. Since spring, I think. Maybe April. She smiled. They're always so affectionate, holding hands when they walk. You can tell they're in love. I felt sick. Have you ever heard them argue? Never. Always peaceful. Quiet. Good neighbors. Have they mentioned moving? She paused. Actually, yes. Last week, maybe. She mentioned something about a fresh start, new city. I assumed Kevin got a new job. I thanked her. Walked back to my car. The bakery was 2 blocks over, small shop. Smelled like bread and sugar. The young guy behind the counter, maybe 25 flour, dusting his apron, nodded when I walked in. Help you? Do you know Kevin Crawford, lives on Beaver Grade? Tall guy, yeah. Comes in with his girlfriend. Sundays, usually. Girlfriend, brunette. They get croissants, coffee cake. Been coming in for months. He grinned. Cute couple. Always holding hands. You could tell they were happy. I bought a coffee I didn't want. Left. Sat in my car for 10 minutes. Stared at the steering wheel. 6 months. Maybe 7? Rachel had been living with Kevin since April. Maybe earlier. Coming home to me at night. Making dinner. Kissing me goodbye in the morning. Then going to him. 6 months of double lives. 6 months while I'd been completely oblivious. The store owner saw them every morning. The neighbor thought they were married. The baker watched them hold hands. Everyone saw it except me. I pulled out my phone, made notes, documented everything. Names, dates, what they'd said. I spent the next 2 days gathering more evidence, making calls, documenting everything. Each confirmation was another nail in their coffin. But witnesses weren't enough. I needed proof of the mechanism. How did she fake a death certificate? Who signed off on a corpse that wasn't real? Riverside Memorial Services sat on a quiet corner of Moon Township, unassuming and professional. Cream-colored siding, manicured lawn, discreet sign. The kind of place you trust with your loved ones. I'd trusted them with my wife's remains. Big mistake. The funeral director, middle-aged, thinning hair, navy suit, with a tie slightly askew, met me in his office. The room smelled of furniture polish and lilies. When I told him why I was there, the color drained from his face. Mr. Crawford, I assure you, we followed all proper procedures. Show me Rachel's file. He hesitated, fingers hovering over the locked filing cabinet. Then slowly he retrieved a manila folder. Set it on the desk between us like it might explode. I flipped through. Service arrangements, cremation authorization, death certificate, payment receipts. The cremation authorization had my signature at the bottom, except I'd never signed it. I held the page up to the fluorescent light. The signature looked close. Same slant, similar loops, but it wasn't mine. The pressure was wrong. The C in Crawford too rounded. The W missing the slight hook I always made. This is forged, I said flatly. The director leaned forward, squinting through wire-rimmed glasses. Mr. Crawford, I don't understand. Look at it. I pulled out my driver's license, set it beside the document. Compare the signatures. He pulled a magnifying glass from his desk drawer, the kind used to examine fine print, and studied both. His expression shifted from confusion to uncertainty to unmistakable fear. I'll need to verify this with our records manager. Who provided this death certificate? Dr. Victor Ross, Heritage Valley Health System. We accepted it as legitimate documentation. As for the cremation authorization, He caught himself, swallowed. Someone delivered it with the death certificate. We assumed it was properly executed. You assumed wrong. I pulled out my phone, photographed every page, the forged signature clear in the camera's flash. The death certificate with Dr. Victor Ross's name printed at the bottom, his signature scrawled above it. The service invoice showing Rachel had prepaid everything. Cremation earned service, 6 weeks before her death. 6 weeks. She'd planned her own funeral 6 weeks in advance. Mr. Crawford, if there's been some kind of mistake, this wasn't a mistake. This was systematic fraud. I closed the file. I need copies of everything in this folder. Now. I'll have to consult with our legal team now, or I walk out of here and my next call is to the district attorney's office with photos of forged documents. Your company accepted without verification. The threat landed. 10 minutes later, I walked out with a thick envelope, every document copied, every signature, every date, every payment record, evidence. As I reached my car in the parking lot, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Then thought, what if it's about Rachel? I answered. Mr. Crawford. A man's voice, unfamiliar, strained. My name is Robert Ellis. I think we need to talk. It's about your brother and my sister. I spent the next 2 days researching Dr. Victor Ross online. Heritage Valley Health System confirmed he worked there. 51 years old, general practitioner, medical license active and clean, on paper at least, but his name was in Rachel's black notebook, Dr. VR. And now it was on her fraudulent death certificate. The pattern was forming, and Robert Ellis, whoever he was, whatever his sister had to do with Kevin, had just entered the picture. The terrace room was dark, nearly empty on a Thursday night. Robert Ellis sat in a corner booth, looking like a man who'd been carrying a heavy weight for too long. 52 gray at the temples, hands wrapped around an untouched beer. When he saw me, relief flickered across his face. William Crawford. I slid into the booth. Robert Ellis. Firm handshake, tired eyes. Thanks for meeting me. You said it was about my brother and your sister. He pulled a manila folder from beside him. Sarah. She was married to Kevin from 2015 to 2019. 2 years after their divorce, she dropped dead. Heart attack, they said. She was 43. The way he said it told me everything. You didn't believe it. Sarah ran marathons. Didn't smoke. Perfectly healthy. He slid a photograph across the table. This is from her funeral. August 2021. Kevin in a black suit standing beside a casket, playing the grieving ex-husband. And this. Another photo. Background of the funeral. A woman in a black dress partially obscured. Rachel. My chest tightened. Your wife paid for everything, Robert said quietly. The funeral. All of it. Wait. I stopped him. Sarah was cremated. Robert shook his head. No. Traditional burial. Closed casket at Grandview Cemetery in Moon Township. I was there. Watched them lower her into the ground. His voice went quiet. I couldn't afford much at the time. Rachel stepped in. Said she wanted to help. Covered all the funeral costs. Casket plot, service, everything. And you didn't find that strange. I was grieving. My sister had just died. Someone offering help seemed like kindness. Robert's jaw tightened. I didn't know it was control. I stared at Rachel's image in the photo. She'd been there, at Sarah's funeral, 3 years ago, 3 years before she died. There was a life insurance policy, Robert continued. $150,000. Sarah took it out when she and Kevin married. Never changed the beneficiary after the divorce. Kevin collected it all. I thought about the black notebook, the phases, the planning. He remarried 6 months after Sarah died. To your wife, apparently. Robert pulled out another document. I finally got Sarah's death certificate last month. Guess who signed it? I already knew. Dr. Victor Ross? Dr. Victor Ross, Heritage Valley Health System. He tapped the certificate. Same name on your wife's certificate. I'm guessing same signature. We sat in silence, the pieces falling into place. How many others? I asked. I don't know. That's why I called you. I've been hitting walls for 3 years. But you have fresh evidence. Proof Rachel's alive. Proof they're together. And you have the pattern. Sarah's case documented. Exactly. Robert leaned forward. I also have someone else. A private investigator named Victoria Blake. She contacted me 6 months ago after I posted about Sarah's death online. She's been tracking similar cases across Pennsylvania. As if on cue, my phone buzzed. From Victoria Blake, subject, Rachel Morrison, Crawford. I have information you need. I glanced at Robert. That her? She moves fast. I opened the email. Brief message, Mr. Crawford. Robert shared your situation. I've been investigating similar cases for 2 years. Your wife's death fits a pattern. We need to meet. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. my office. Victoria Blake. 50 pages attached. I looked up at Robert. You're sure about this? I've been chasing this for 3 years. You're the first real break. His jaw set. We're going to bury them. I thought about Rachel in Kevin's kitchen. Sarah buried at Grandview. The death certificate. The pattern. I'm in. I spent the next 3 days cross-referencing Robert's evidence with mine. Sarah's burial in 2021. Dr. Ross's signature on both certificates. Rachel's involvement deeper than I'd imagined, and Victoria Blake had been tracking it all along. Victoria Blake's office looked like something from a crime thriller. Walls covered in photographs, red strings connecting faces, timelines marked in precise handwriting. She stood when we entered, extending her hand. 40 sharp gray suit, dark hair pulled back. Her handshake was firm. Her eyes held the weariness of someone who'd seen too much. Mr. Crawford, Mr. Ellis. The evidence board dominated the room. Center a photograph of Rachel, but the nameplate didn't say Rachel Crawford. It said Rachel Morrison. Let's start with who your wife really is, Victoria said. Rachel Morrison, born 1977, Columbus, Ohio. At 18, she married David Morrison, a real estate developer, 42, recently widowed. 2 years later, she divorced him, walked away with $200,000. I stared at the photo. Young Rachel, maybe 19, wedding dress, smiling. She changed her appearance, moved to Pennsylvania, began working as an office manager. Your manufacturing business made you a viable target. Stable income assets, life insurance. Victoria's voice was clinical. She didn't fall in love with you, William. She selected you. The words landed like fists. This is her pattern. Marry someone with money. Integrate. Years later, fake a death, hers or theirs, collect insurance, disappear. She's been doing this for 30 years. Robert spoke. Sarah, 2021. Rachel facilitated it. Victoria pointed to another cluster. Sarah's photo death certificate insurance documents. Kevin was divorced from Sarah, but Rachel convinced him there was profit left. Fake Sarah's death, collect the insurance she never updated. Rachel paid for the funeral to control the narrative. She moved to 2 more photographs. Dr. Victor Ross, 51, Heritage Valley, Health. He signed 17 fake death certificates over 6 years. Some were real bodies, unclaimed corpses from the county morgue. Others just paper. 17. Walter Hayes, 53, attorney. Handles beneficiary changes, will modifications, estate transfers. Makes it look legitimate. Victoria gestured to the web of red strings. 17 documented fake deaths. Over $2 million stolen across 5 counties. $2 million. How many victims? Robert asked. Confirmed 12. Some dead real deaths, suspicious. Others missing. A few alive. Diana Walsh lost $25,000 to a side scheme Rachel ran. She'll testify. My head spun. Your brother Kevin joined 4 years ago, Victoria said, her tone softening. Family connection makes him useful. He's been the intermediary for at least 3 operations, including yours. I couldn't speak. Victoria pulled a thick file from her desk. Financial records, insurance payouts, forged certificates with Ross's signature, falsified legal documents from Hayes, witness testimony, photos of Rachel and Kevin together before her supposed death, bank transfers. She slid it across to me. The DA is ready to move as soon as we have Rachel and Kevin in custody. With your testimony and Robert's, we dismantle the entire network. I opened the file. Evidence. Victims. Names and faces. Just like me. You need to understand the scope, Victoria said quietly. Rachel Morrison is a career criminal, most of her adult life. I looked at the evidence board. Rachel's photo. Red strings to Ross Hayes Kevin, victim after victim. My wedding photo pinned near the top. March 1999. Rachel in white. Me smiling. Victoria slid one more document across the table. This is the worst part. Our marriage certificate, March 14th, 1999. William Crawford and Rachel Morrison. Below it, a sticky note in Victoria's handwriting. Rachel targeted you. Your business made you a mark from day one. I'm sorry. I stared at those words. 25 years, every anniversary, every moment beside her. All of it a lie, not betrayal, premeditation. The phone ringing at 2:30 a.m. ripped me from the first real sleep I'd had in days. I answered without thinking, still half in dreams. Hello. Silence. Then breathing, mechanical, distorted. Voice changer. Mr. Crawford, you need to stop digging. My heart slammed against my ribs. Who is this? Jacob lives on Maple Street, 26 years old, third-floor apartment. Window faces the parking lot. The voice was flat robotic. Accidents happen, kitchen fires, car brakes fail, people fall downstairs. Ice in my veins. If you touch my son, stop asking questions. Forget what you think you know. The line went dead. I sat there, handshaking, staring at the screen. Unknown number. They knew where Jacob lived. His age, his apartment layout. They'd been watching him. I dialed Jacob. 4 rings. Voicemail. He was asleep. Safe. Probably. For 3 days I'd reviewed Victoria's files, obsessively victim statements, financial records building the case. I knew we were getting close, but I hadn't considered they'd target Jacob. Stupid. I started pacing. The clock read 2:34 a.m. Then I heard it, scratching at my door. Metal on metal. Slow. Deliberate. Someone was picking my lock. I moved silently to the door. Through the peephole, dark figure crouched low, hoodie up, working something into the lock mechanism. Couldn't see a face. The scratching continued. They'd called to threaten. Now they were making good on it. I grabbed a drinking glass from the bathroom and slammed it against the wall. It shattered. "Security!" I shouted. "Someone's breaking into room 412. The scratching stopped. Through the peephole, the figure stood and ran. Emergency exit door at the end of the hall swung shut. I yanked my door open. Hallway empty. Deep scratches in the brass lock. Fresh. Someone had been seconds from getting in. A security guard appeared 30 seconds later, out of breath. He saw the lock. Jesus. You okay? Someone tried to break in. Ran toward the emergency stairs. He examined the scratches, spoke into his radio. We should call police. No. I'm involved in a legal matter. Can't involve local police yet? He didn't look happy, but nodded. We're moving you to a different room. I'll station someone on your floor. 20 minutes later, I was in a new room, second-floor door, double-locked chair, wedged under the handle. 2:58 a.m. I called Frank Anderson. He answered on the second ring, groggy. William. I need a gun permit and a favor from your investigator friends. Someone just threatened Jacob. Silence. Then Frank's voice, fully awake now. What happened? I told him. The call. The break-in. Jacob's address. Frank swore quietly. I'll make some calls. Trace the number, check hotel footage. But William, be careful. These people are dangerous. I know. No, you don't. People who threaten a man's kid, who break into hotel rooms at 3 a.m., they're not white-collar criminals anymore. They're something worse. I looked at the photo I'd taken of the scratched lock. Then I need that gun permit, fast. You'll have it by tomorrow afternoon. And William, don't go anywhere alone. I hung up, sat on the hotel bed. Jacob was asleep, completely unaware someone had just used him to threaten me. They wanted me to stop. That meant we were close. And there was no chance in hell I was stopping now. I found the iPad by accident, shoved behind books on Rachel's shelf. She must have forgotten about it when she died. The device was still charged. No password. Still logged into her Apple ID. Messages app had unread notifications. I opened it. Scrolled through. Most were mundane. Then I saw a thread labeled Jacob Crawford. My hand froze. Rachel, June 18th, 2024, 3:47 p.m. We need to talk. Tonight, 8 p.m., Riverside Diner. Jacob, June 18th, 2024, 9:32 p.m. I can't believe what I saw today. How could you do this, Rachel? June 19th, 2024, 7:50 a.m. You owe $47,000 in student loans. I've always helped you. Remember that. Jacob, June 19th, 2024, 10:03 a.m. You're blackmailing me. Rachel, June 19th, 2024, 10:47 a.m. I'm protecting both of us. Silence means agreement. You have 24 hours. No response from Jacob after that. I stared at the screen, my vision tunneling. June. 4 months ago, Jacob had known. I called him. Get to the house. Now. Dad, it's almost midnight. Now. 20 minutes later, Jacob stood in the living room. I held up the iPad. I found the messages. His face drained of color. How long? My voice came out flat, controlled. Dad, how long? Since June, his voice cracked. 4 months. 4 months. I set the iPad down carefully, afraid I'd throw it. You knew for 4 months and said nothing. She threatened me. Said if I told you, she'd cut off all financial help and tell you I... He stopped swallowing hard. That I made advances on her. Kevin backed her up. They said they'd destroy me. Kevin, my brother had threatened my son. So you chose silence? I chose not to lose you. Jacob's eyes were wet, but his voice stayed steady. She said you'd blame me for not coming forward sooner, that you'd think I was part of it. I was trapped, Dad. You should have come to me. I wanted to. Every single day. Every time I saw you with her, it killed me. He wiped his face roughly. I let you down. I studied my son, 26 years old, threatened by his own mother and uncle with debt and lies. Why didn't you... I did. Jacob's voice rose. I sent you that note. The room went silent. What? The anonymous note on your windshield the morning of the viewing. Jacob's hands shook. I couldn't tell you to your face. I was too afraid. But I couldn't let you bury her without knowing the truth. So I wrote that note and left it on your car. Don't go to the viewing. Go to Kevin's house instead. My son had done that. Had risked everything Rachel threatened to warn me the only way he could. You tried to save me. I made a terrible choice staying quiet, but I tried to fix it. Jacob met my eyes. Now I want to help. Really help. I'll tell you everything I know. I stepped forward, put my hand on his shoulder. You were manipulated, threatened. Rachel did what she always does. She found your weakness and exploited it. I should have been stronger. You were strong enough to send that note. I squeezed his shoulder. Now we finish this. Together. Jacob nodded, composing himself. She has a safe deposit box. First National Bank downtown. Box 447. I saw the key once in her purse. Asked what it was for, and she said insurance. What else? Kevin mentioned backup passports once. Plural. Said something about keeping them at Sarah's old storage unit. He paused. The Sewickley facility, I think. Off Route 65. Sarah. Kevin's dead ex-wife. The storage unit where he'd hidden evidence. Passports mean they were planning to run. There's more in that box, Jacob said. She checked on it obsessively. Every few weeks. I looked at my son. 4 months of carrying this secret. 4 months of being threatened and manipulated, and he'd still tried to warn me. We're going to take them down, I said. Every single one of them. Something fierce settled in Jacob's expression. I'm ready. My son finally on my side. Frank Anderson's law office occupied the 14th floor of a downtown Pittsburgh high-rise. Through the window, the city sprawled below, oblivious to the bomb we were about to detonate. The conference room was full. Frank, 56, gray-haired, sharp-eyed, sat at the head of the table. Beside him, Marcus Webb, a criminal defense attorney. Robert Ellis across from me. Between us, everything we had. The black notebook. Forged cremation authorization. Dr. Victor Ross's signature on death certificates. Walter Hayes' name on beneficiary documents. Victoria Blake's 50-page investigation. Witness statements. Financial records showing payouts across 5 counties. Jacob's written testimony, 4 months of threats and silence. Marcus Webb studied it all for 10 minutes. This is substantial, he said finally. Federal fraud, identity theft, insurance fraud, document forgery. Widespread criminal conspiracy. How do we move forward? I asked. You need physical evidence, Frank said. Something undeniable. Marcus nodded. Exhumation. Robert's head snapped up. Sarah's grave. If Sarah's grave shows discrepancies, wrong, body mismatched dental records, it proves the pattern. Dr. Ross signed both death certificates. Prove one fraudulent, and it casts doubt on all of them. Can we get a court order? I asked. With this evidence, yes. But it'll take time. I'll call Judge Morrison, Frank interrupted. We go back 20 years. I can push for expedited emergency review. Marcus raised an eyebrow. That fast? Paul Morrison owes me, and these people are flight risks. Criminal charges, or civil? Marcus asked. Criminal, I said. This network needs to be exposed and prosecuted. Frank nodded. Agreed. We'll file the exhumation petition with Allegheny County Court today. I'll also reach out to Rebecca Morgan. The journalist, Robert asked, investigative reporter, covers fraud and corruption. If we're going public and we should, Rebecca breaks the story. Frank looked at me. But everything comes out. Your marriage, Rachel's deception, Jacob, all of it. I don't care. Let them see what she really was. Marcus gathered documents. I'll draft the petition this afternoon. Grounds reasonable suspicion of fraud, false death certificate pattern, documented by private investigator. We'll cite Robert's case as parallel evidence. How long? Robert asked. If Morrison agrees to expedited review, 72 hours. And if he signs, we dig. 3 days later, Judge Morrison signed the order. October 30th, 8:00 a.m., Grandview Cemetery. We'd opened Sarah's grave. Marcus had warned me. Whatever we find determines everything. If the body matches Sarah's records, your case becomes questionable. You'll look like a paranoid fool. But I wasn't worried. I'd seen the black notebook, read Rachel's threats to Jacob, watched Victoria's evidence board connect 17 fake deaths. The pattern was real. Sarah's grave would prove it. Frank called the night before. Rebecca's running the story the day after. Win or lose, this goes public. Good. William, are you sure your life becomes a media circus? I thought about Rachel's laugh in Kevin's kitchen, 25 years of lies, Jacob's confession, Diana Walsh's lost money, Sarah dead at 43, all the others we hadn't found yet. I'm sure. Whatever we found in that grave would either prove me right or make me look like a conspiracy theorist chasing ghosts. But I knew what we'd find. I knew. Grandview Cemetery looked like something from a Gothic novel. On that October morning, gray sky, bare trees, the smell of turned earth. I'd been awake since 4, couldn't sleep, just sat in the hotel room watching the clock. Now I stood at the edge of a grave, watching strangers prepare to dig up my brother's ex-wife. Robert Ellis stood beside me, silent, face pale. 3 years he'd been waiting for this moment. Frank Anderson stood a few feet back. Jacob was behind me. Every few minutes his hand would touch my shoulder. Support without words. Court officials clustered near their vehicles. Dr. Patricia Hughes, the medical examiner, stood by her van in protective gear. 2 police observers documented everything. The gravestone was simple granite. Sarah Ellis Crawford, 1978-2021, beloved wife. The excavation crew began, slow, methodical. Shovels biting into Pennsylvania soil, still hard from last night's frost. No one spoke. An hour passed. We've got it. The crew worked faster, clearing dirt. Straps positioned. Slowly they lifted the coffin from the ground and placed it on a tarp beside the grave. Dr. Hughes approached, kneeling. She worked the latches, rust, time, earth, but finally they gave. The lid opened. Even from 10 feet away, I could smell death, decay. 3 years in the ground. The body inside was significantly decomposed. Little remained but bones, fabric, scraps, wisps of hair. Dr. Hughes began her examination. Samples collected. Photographs from multiple angles. A portable X-ray machine positioned near the skull. 30 minutes, the longest 30 minutes of my life. Robert stood frozen. Frank checked his phone, put it away. Jacob's hand found my shoulder and stayed. Dr. Hughes moved to her laptop, comparing images, the X-rays, Sarah's dental records from 2019, back and forth, zooming, cross-referencing. My heart hammered. Finally, Dr. Hughes stood, walked to the court officials first, spoke quietly, then approached us. Her expression was carefully neutral, professional. The dental records don't match, she said. This is not Sarah Ellis. Robert made a sound, half gasp, half sob. His knees buckled. I caught him. Where is she? His voice broke, raw, desperate. If that's not Sarah, where is my sister? Dr. Hughes's face softened with genuine sympathy. I don't know. I'm sorry. She was alive. She called me that morning, said she loved me. Robert's hands shook. And now 3 years I don't even know where her body is. If she's... He couldn't finish. I kept my arm around him, held him steady. We'll find her, I said quietly. I promise you, Robert. We'll find Sarah. Dr. Hughes continued addressing the officials. Preliminary findings indicate the body is consistent with unclaimed remains from the county morgue. Female approximate age matches, but dental records, bone structure, and identifying markers do not correspond to Sarah Ellis Crawford's medical files. The records have been falsified. A court official spoke into her radio. We need detectives at Grandview immediately. Exhumation has revealed evidence of fraud. Police moved forward, cameras out, documenting everything. Robert pulled away from me, walked to the open coffin, stared down at the stranger buried under his sister's name. They threw her away, he whispered, like she was nothing, like she didn't matter. She mattered, Frank said, stepping beside him. And we're going to prove it. Every single one of them will answer for this. The judge's representative approached. Mr. Crawford, Mr. Ellis, we'll need full statements. This is now a criminal investigation. Robert didn't move, just kept staring at the coffin. Mr. Ellis. The official's voice was gentler now. We'll find your sister. Dr. Ross is in custody. He'll talk. Robert finally turned. His face was wet, but his jaw was set. He better. Because if he doesn't tell me where Sarah is, I'll... He stopped himself, took a breath. I just want to bury my sister. Properly. She deserves that. By noon, arrest warrants were being drafted for Rachel Morrison Crawford, Kevin Crawford, Dr. Victor Ross, and Walter Hayes. By 3 that afternoon, Rebecca Morgan's story went live. Fraud network exposed, fake deaths, stolen millions, and the husband who uncovered it all. Everything. Victoria Blake's investigation. 17 fake death certificates. $2 million stolen. Sarah's exhumation. My 25-year marriage to a con artist. Photos of Rachel, Kevin, Dr. Ross, Walter Hayes. Their faces. Their names. Their crimes. By evening, every news channel in Pennsylvania ran the story. The DA held a press conference. Arrest warrants issued. Tips flooded the hotline. Sightings reported. The hunt was on. But for Robert standing at that empty grave, none of it mattered yet. His sister was still missing, and until we found her, there would be no closure. The television in Frank's office showed my face, my story, my life dissected for millions of viewers across Pennsylvania and beyond. Rebecca Morgan's investigative report played on 3 different screens. Channel 4, Channel 11, CNN's regional feed. I sat in Frank's conference room, Jacob beside me, watching myself become news. The report opened with footage from this morning. Grandview Cemetery, the excavation crew, the open grave, my face in the background, gray and drawn. Rebecca's voiceover. What started as one man's suspicion became the unraveling of a criminal network spanning 5 counties and stealing over $2 million. Cut to Rachel's photo, the one from our anniversary last year. Smiling, beautiful. The caption beneath, Rachel Morrison Crawford, wanted for fraud. Then Kevin, his DMV photo, Kevin Crawford, wanted for conspiracy. Dr. Victor Ross, professional headshot from Heritage Valley's website. Dr. Victor Ross, wanted for falsifying documents. Walter Hayes, lawyer portrait. Walter Hayes, wanted for fraud. The report showed everything. The forged death certificate, the exhumation, Dr. Patricia Hughes' statement. The dental records do not match. This body was taken from unclaimed remains at the county morgue. Then the interviews. Diana Walsh, 41, sitting in her living room. I trusted Rachel. She said it was an investment opportunity. I gave her $25,000. Then she disappeared. Robert Ellis standing at Sarah's grave. My sister didn't die of a heart attack. She was murdered. And they covered it up for 3 years. Victoria Blake in her office evidence board visible behind her. This isn't just fraud. This is systematic, organized. 17 fake death certificates, dozens of victims. We're still discovering the scope. My phone buzzed, again, the 20th time in an hour. Jacob glanced at the screen. Your old business partner. Should I let it go to voicemail? The news cut to the district attorney's press conference from this afternoon. Eleanor Vance, stern and precise behind a podium, thick with microphones. Today, arrest warrants have been issued for Rachel Crawford, Kevin Crawford, Dr. Victor Ross, and Walter Hayes. Charges include federal fraud, identity, theft insurance, fraud, document forgery, and criminal conspiracy. She paused, looked directly at the cameras. We have established a crime tip hotline. If you or someone you know has been victimized by this network, please come forward. These individuals are considered flight risks and should not be approached. The screen showed the tip line number. 1-800-55-FRAUD. They've received over 300 calls in the past 4 hours, Frank said from across the table. He was scrolling through messages on his laptop. DA's office is overwhelmed. My phone rang again. I didn't recognize the number. That's the 7th reporter in 20 minutes, Jacob said, declining the call. TMZ, CNN, NBC. Everyone wants an interview. Tell them no. I have been. Another call. This one I recognized. My former secretary from the manufacturing business. I'd let her go 5 years ago during a slow season. Jacob answered for me. Mr. Crawford isn't taking calls right now. Thank you. He hung up. Looked at me. She wanted to know if you were okay and if Rachel ever seemed suspicious. I said nothing. Frank closed his laptop. William, you need to prepare yourself. You're going to be in the spotlight for a while. National news, talk shows, true crime podcasts. He met my eyes. Are you ready for that? I didn't do this for fame, I said. I did it for the truth. The truth made you famous whether you wanted it or not. My phone buzzed again. Victoria Blake. I answered. Victoria. William. Her voice was sharp, urgent. 3 more potential victims just contacted me in the past hour. 2 from Ohio, 1 from West Virginia. Similar patterns, fake deaths, insurance fraud, Dr. Ross's signature on documents. And how many total, if these check out 20 victims? Maybe more. She paused. This is bigger than we thought. Much bigger. I closed my eyes. 20 families. 20 lives destroyed. The FBI is getting involved, Victoria continued. Interstate fraud. They'll want to interview you tomorrow. I'll be there. I hung up. Jacob's hand found my shoulder. Silent support. Frank poured 3 glasses of whiskey from the bottle he kept in his desk. Slid 1 to me, 1 to Jacob. To justice, Frank said. I didn't drink, just stared at the amber liquid. On the television, my wedding photo filled the screen. March 1999. Rachel in white. Me in a tuxedo, smiling like an idiot who thought he'd found forever. The caption, 25 years of lies. My phone rang. Blocked number. I stared at the screen. My heart kicked against my ribs. Dad! Jacob's voice. I looked at Frank. He nodded. I hit answer, put it on speaker. Hello, Rachel. My voice came out steady. Steel. Silence on the other end. Breathing, then her voice. Strained, desperate. Nothing like the cold woman who'd faked her own death. William, please, we need to talk. Frank's eyes locked on mine. Jacob stood frozen behind me, his hand gripping the back of my chair. I kept my voice steady. Talk, then. A pause. The sound of her breathing, calculated. I can make this end smoothly for you, she said. I have information about the network people you don't know about. I'll testify in court. I'll help you bring them all down. I almost laughed. You want a deal? I'm offering you a way out of this mess, Rachel continued. Her voice shifted softer now, more fragile. You have to understand, William. I was forced. The network threatened me. Kevin manipulated me. I was a victim, too. Frank's jaw tightened. Jacob's breathing grew shallow. I leaned forward, my voice cold as steel. Don't lie to me anymore, Rachel. You've lied for 25 years. Just once, just this one time, tell me the truth. Did you ever love me? Silence. The seconds stretched. I could hear the faint hum of the television in the corner. Muted now, but still showing her face on the screen. Wanted. Fugitive. When she spoke again, the mask was gone. You're right. Her voice was flat, emotionless. I didn't love you. Jacob's hand tightened on my shoulder. 25 years of pretending to care about your business trips, your golf games, your boring dinner parties. She sighed, almost bored. It was exhausting, William. I never loved you. You were a means to an end. A comfortable life, a wallet to exploit. You were so easy to manipulate, so desperate to believe someone like me could love someone like you. My chest tightened, but I didn't flinch. Kevin was more interesting, she continued, ambitious, reckless. He gave me freedom from mediocrity. You were just there, convenient. Frank leaned back, his face grim. Jacob's breathing was ragged now. Is that all? I asked, my voice steady. What else do you want? Rachel snapped. An apology. You think you deserve one? You were nothing special, William. Just another mark. I closed my eyes for a moment. When I opened them, the weight I'd carried for weeks, maybe for years, was gone. Thank you, I said quietly. What? Thank you for telling me the truth, because now I know exactly what you are. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life watching you go to prison. I hear orange isn't your color. Silence. Then a click. She was gone. Jacob's hand slid from my shoulder. Dad, you okay? I nodded slowly. I will be. Frank poured a glass of whiskey and slid it across the desk. You did good, William. I didn't drink it. I just sat there staring at the phone. Within 72 hours, the media frenzy delivered results. Kevin Crawford was arrested at the Erie bus station on November 3rd, attempting to board a one-way bus to Toronto. He carried a fake passport, $30,000 in cash, and a duffel bag containing 2 changes of clothes. He didn't resist. Rachel Morrison Crawford was found the next morning at a roadside motel outside Pittsburgh. She was in the bathroom dyeing her hair black. A fake ID with the name Laura Bennett sat on the counter beside her. The net had closed. It was over. A few weeks after the arrests, I returned to Grandview Cemetery alone. I stood before Rachel's empty grave, the plot that had never been used, the stone that bore her false death date. November wind cut through the trees. Leaves covered the ground in shades of rust and gold. I felt nothing. No anger, no grief, just clarity. The man I'd been had died here. The man who believed in unconditional trust, in the sanctity of marriage and the unbreakable bond of brotherhood. That man was gone. I didn't place flowers, didn't pray. I simply acknowledged the truth, turned, and walked away. I drove home and never looked back. Jacob moved back home temporarily. We fell into a routine Sunday morning fishing trips to North Park Lake Steelers games on the couch, with cold beers and comfortable silence, working side by side in the garage on my old Chevy truck. One evening, grease on our hands and classic rock playing on the radio, Jacob asked, "Do you forgive me, Dad?" I tightened a bolt, thinking, I'm working on it, but I'm proud of how you ended this. You sent that note, I said quietly. You helped expose them. That took real courage. Jacob's eyes glistened. The bond between us, fractured but not broken, was healing slowly, honestly. A forensic audit revealed Kevin had embezzled $180,000 over 3 years. Insurance covered part of the loss. I filed a civil suit to recover Kevin's assets. The community rallied. Local businesses offered support. Orders increased from sympathetic clients who'd followed the story. By spring, Crawford Construction was back on solid footing. Built on truth this time, not lies. I established the Crawford Fund for Fraud Victims, a nonprofit, offering free legal consultations, mental health referrals, and financial recovery advice. Victoria Blake's investigative firm partnered with us. Robert Ellis became co-director. In the first year, we assisted 47 fraud victims across Pennsylvania. I began speaking at community colleges about recognizing fraud. Universities invited me as a guest lecturer in criminology programs. I didn't seek fame. I sought impact. We turned pain into purpose, Robert told the press. Diana Walsh recovered $18,000 through a civil suit. 3 more victims of Rachel and Kevin were identified through media tips. A monthly support group formed at the fund's office. Survivors helping survivors. Victoria investigated qualified cases pro bono. We're not victims anymore, one woman said at a meeting. We're guardians of truth. Rachel Morrison Crawford's trial was set for April 2025. Expected sentence, 18 to 22 years in federal prison for conspiracy to commit fraud, identity theft, and money laundering. Kevin Crawford faced a separate trial, 15 to 20 years. Neither accepted plea deals. Dr. Victor Ross pleaded guilty and testified against the network. Sentenced to 12 years. Walter Hayes pleaded guilty, 10 years, through Dr. Ross's testimony. Police located Sarah Ellis's real remains, buried under a false identity in a rural cemetery near Youngstown, Ohio. Kevin and Rachel had disposed of her body after she discovered their affair and threatened to expose the fraud network. Robert finally got his closure. Sarah was reburied at Grandview Cemetery beside her parents, with a proper headstone and a funeral attended by those who truly loved her. The FBI expanded the investigation to Ohio and Florida. More victims surfaced. The network was officially dismantled. I delivered victim impact statements at the sentencing hearings, not for revenge, for closure. 1 year later, on my 56th birthday, Jacob hosted a small dinner. Frank, Victoria, Robert, and a few close friends. I looked around the table. A new family forged from ashes. Someone asked, "Do you regret those 25 years?" I paused. I regret the lies. But those years taught me something valuable, that I'm stronger than I thought. And that truth always finds its way to light. Later alone, I looked at my old wedding photo. No anger, no pain, just emptiness. I packed it into a box and stored it in the attic. That chapter was closed forever. I hadn't dated seriously. Maybe I never would. I found fulfillment in my work in Jacob, in the fund, in helping others. That was enough. One evening I wrote in my journal, I used to think love meant trusting without question. I was wrong. 25 years I gave to a woman who saw me as prey. A lifetime of brotherhood betrayed by greed. But here's what I learned. Betrayal doesn't define who you are. How you respond to it does. They buried me alive, but I clawed my way out of that grave. The man I was died on October 15th, 2024. The man I am now was forged in fire, tempered by truth, built on evidence instead of blind faith. My real family, Jacob, who found courage. Frank, who stood beside me. Robert, who shared the fight. Victoria, who armed me with truth. Blood doesn't make family. Loyalty does. To whoever sent that anonymous note, thank you. You saved my life. To my son, you redeemed yourself when it mattered most. That's enough. I closed the journal and set it on the desk. Through the window, I saw Jacob in the driveway working on the truck. I grabbed my jacket and stepped outside. Need a hand? Jacob looked up, grinning. Always. We worked side by side, wrenches in hand, the radio playing classic rock in the garage. Life, real life, honest life continued. I tightened a bolt, checked it satisfied. Done, I said. Good as new. Jacob nodded. Better than new. Stronger. I looked at my son, understanding the metaphor. Yeah, I said quietly. Stronger. We kept working as the sun set over Moon Township. 2 men once broken and rebuilt, fixing things together. If you're reading this true story, you might wonder why I'm sharing it. Why expose 25 years of humiliation, betrayal, and lies? Because I don't want you to become like me. I'm William Crawford, and this Grandpa Stories collection begins with mine. Not the kind you tell children around a campfire, but the kind that might save someone's marriage, someone's fortune, or someone's sanity. This true story cost me nearly everything. Every Grandpa Stories lesson is paid for in blood, sweat, and tears. Mine was no different. Don't be like me. Don't ignore the small inconsistencies. Don't silence the voice in your gut that whispers, something isn't right. I ignored mine for 25 years because I wanted to believe in the sanctity of marriage, the loyalty of family, the goodness of people. I was wrong. Here's what I learned. Trust in God, but verify everything else. The Bible says, be wise as serpents and innocent as doves. I was only the dove. I forgot the serpent. God gave us discernment for a reason. He didn't design us to be blind to evil, even when it wears the face of someone we love. When that anonymous note appeared on my windshield, I believe God sent a messenger to wake me from my delusion. Don't be like me. Don't wait for a crisis to open your eyes. This true story taught me that betrayal doesn't destroy you. Denial does. When you finally open your eyes, you might see a monster, but you'll also see the truth. In truth, no matter how painful, is the foundation of freedom. So here's my Grandpa Stories wisdom. Protect your assets. Know your partners. Verify your documents. And never let love blind you to red flags. God doesn't want us to be victims. He wants us to be vigilant. I clawed my way out of that grave. Don't be like me. Don't dig one for yourself. Trust God. Verify everything else. Always listen to that voice.